Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Guys, it's week one. It's finally
Oh
here.
yeah.
Football is officially back as of Thursday. Ron, Justin, and myself kicked it off for you guys on Thursday, gave you guys a little taste of what was to come. We did not have a bad game. It was a pretty competitive game until the end. But we're back here to talk about the Sunday slate. It's officially, like I said, week one. How excited are you guys? We got the full team today, too. Just wanted to point that out.
We four deep. We four deep today. That's all that matters. We four deep.
Whole squad's here today. Yeah, man.
Whole squad on some real shit.
Couldn't be here Thursday due to work, but glad to be here for the first Sunday. Glad to start off 1-0. Hopefully, you boys get on track later on tonight as well. I know we'll get into that.
I want to know why you weren't here on Sunday besides work. You couldn't call in, bro?
I'm here on Sunday.
I mean, Thursday.
Thursday, no, I had to work.
Call in, bro. Make it happen, dog. Make it happen.
We're here for a Sunday slate. We're going to be talking fantasy, going to be talking game lines, predictions, must starts, shit, survivor pool, everything. So eager to get into it today.
Let's do it, bro. Let's do it. I'm ready. Justin, you're quiet over there. How you feeling, Justin? Come on.
I'm feeling good. Still somewhat in shock over yesterday's college football slate. Upset City yesterday.
Right.
Was hoping my team could have been part of that. Unfortunately, we came up a point short.
Yeah, medal.
But
Roll Tide, baby.
I really like the way we were moving. So positive vibes for the Longhorns this coming week.
Not so positive. You guys lost Quinn Ewers. It looked like a pretty bad injury.
Damn, Roland, you couldn't let me have my moment.
The second time in a row, or the second game that a Alabama team hurts a Texas quarterback. So just had to point that out. The national championship.
And we play them again next year. So if it's 3 for 3, we never schedule them again.
And he got flagged for that because he obviously he drove Ewers to the ground, which resulted in the injury. But a good slate of college football, like you said, Justin. And we got some USC yesterday, a little reworking of the card to make things happen. Before we reminisce a little bit and get into Thursday, Justin and Ben, do you guys like the reworking of the card to make things happen, or are you guys on the other side and you think Makachev should have been taken off the card? Hamzat or whatever, isn't it? Yeah, Hamzat. There you go. My bad.
No, you got to save the card. Dana got to answer to shareholders. At the end of the day, watching Tony and Nate, I wish we could have seen that 5 years ago, right? But we can't. We got the next best thing. I think Hamzat showing that he had last night, it wouldn't have been a competitive main event. And instead, the viewers got a more competitive main event. So that's always better.
Bro, I'm tired of this Texas got robbed thing, switching it back to college football. There's no moral victories in sport.
And we're not taking any. We're not.
They lost. Y'all lost. You couldn't do it. Yeah, stop crying, bro. I'm tired
Ben,
of it.
anything about the UFC? I know you're on mute, but if you want to say something.
Yeah, no, I have the camaradas here having a conversation in the background. I didn't want them getting us canceled or anything. So but it was Diaz's last fight, or it's not a goodbye, but see you later. Right, for Nate Diaz last night. Yeah. Awesome fight, dude. I think that they went at it. The crowd was loving it. Honestly, though, a little too much respect, being showed. I think it was more Ferguson, wanting to touch gloves and savor the moment. But I thought it was a lot of respect being shown between both guys, and both guys who were usually playing, mind fair games with their opponents. Wasn't like that this time. Crazy that he subbed him. I didn't see the sub coming at all. Shit, the arms weren't even locked on the guillotine. It was some Gracie jiu-jitsu shit, that the Diaz brothers do. It was an awesome send-off, bro. So I was happy with last night. That Chimaev and Holland fight. It was thank God that didn't happen to Diaz, because it would have gone the exact same way.
What do you think of Hamzat shooting when it looked like Holland was going for a little touch glove at the beginning of the fight?
I think it's Hamzat buying fully into being a heel.
They had beef backstage. Why are you trying to touch gloves? That's what I'm saying. With the
that's true.
Shit.
That's true.
If it was on site, like Holland was saying, obviously Chimaev was about it, and it was on site, because as soon as that bell rung, he got to it. Fuck the touching gloves. So I don't fault him for that.
I just thought it was interesting. You usually see the touch gloves happen, even if the respect might not be there, just because you don't want to like have this conversation happen. Like, oh, was the shooting unnecessary on that?
Yeah,
that
and Roland, they
situation?
touch gloves before the fight. When they're standing them next to each other. So there was already that respect. I think it was a rat move by Chimaev personally, but I mean, I like it. He's buying full on to the being a heel right away at the promo. He said like Chechnya, sorry, call it when they were saying USA chants. And then he also did the whole like, I'm not acknowledging the weight cut or nothing to Rogan. He's kind of blowing that off, saying I'll kill everybody. You can tell like he's like, I'll do the bad boy persona now, and it's gonna work for him. So
yeah, I did appreciate Joe Rogan asking some of the tough questions, even though they really didn't get answered. At least he dug in, as I guess a purist that he is. The title, I mean, he would have been fighting for a title had he made weight. Hopefully they match him up against somebody like Covington while Edwards and Usman rematch, and he makes weight, to earn that title shot.
Well, that was going to be my next question, playing matchmaker, but you already answered the question for me. Ron, you got anything to add on that card? Did you like it from a viewer's perspective?
Yeah, I think fucking Lee got robbed. I threw money on him. He
did.
He should have won. I mean, I'm tired of these fucking split decision bullshit. Like, how is the one judge going to see it 29-28, the other judge going to see it the other way? I know it's only 3 rounds, so it's only 1 round, but I'm tired of that.
The sigh afterwards.
I'm over it, bro. I'm over it. And then
Ron, I think that fight could have been 3-0 Lee, man. Maybe 2-1 at worst.
Y'all are crazy, bro. Y'all are crazy. I thought they got that fight right. Honestly, I did.
You only say that because you had money on Rodriguez.
I think you're only saying that because you had money on Lee. Then
I didn't have no money on Lee.
They looked at
the
strike. They looked at the strikes after the fight, and I mean, you look at the fighters, and Lee wasn't as banged up. But whatever, bro. I mean, I'm over it. The money that I lost with him, I won back with Nate. So
always count on the Diaz, Ron. Always count on the Diaz.
He's the only.
It's good to have him as an underdog too. You get that extra paycheck with that.
Yeah, we had to talk a little UFC before we get into the football that we're here to talk about for the rest of the show. But
yeah,
like I said, we're here on Thursday. We gave y'all our predictions. Justin, Ben, I think we were all on the Bills, like winning the game. I know I had the Rams in a teaser that got busted, but Ron and Ben, they called this game pretty close. It was 31-10. The Bills covered easily. The 2.5 point spread. The game stayed under. Ron, you were on the unders teased in that, so you hit that easily. The under, I think, was at 50, over under 52. Mm-hmm. And I think, Ben, you had a score of 31-20. So tell me, what were your thoughts on the game? When you look at the box score, you see Josh Allen had himself a game. He did have 2 picks. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, that combo looks like it's going to come to fruition this year. You excited from what you saw as a Bills fan?
Yeah, for sure, man. The first half was a little frustrating with the 3 turnovers, but having 3 turnovers and having the game tied at halftime pretty much told you the way that the game was going for the most part, aside for those, stupid fumbles by Moss, Cook, the dumb interception that McKenzie handed to the Rams. So the writing was on the wall, what was going to happen second half, and I'm glad that Josh Allen took it into his own hands, both running and passing. But it looked good. Like you said, the connection with Gabe Davis, that play call was beautiful. It was like a 3rd and 2. He chipped and then he snuck out. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was a good message, bro. Beating up on the champs, won $50 off of Mark Garza. Shout out Mark Garza, loser.
Nah,
Go
ahead.
And Justin, you yourself, I remember you said you thought the line got a little out of hand. That you thought there could have been some buyback on the Rams. So you were looking at this game from the Rams' perspective. Are you a little worried? Are you going to be a little scared of backing the Rams next week, or are you just going to chalk this one up as first game of the season? Didn't really do anything in preseason because no one really played, and you're not worried about it.
No, I'm definitely worried about the Rams offense. Stafford didn't look so good, and I think we're going to talk about some news coming up next that may involve the Rams and the offensive stuff going on. So, he wasn't doing good checkdowns. Other than Kupp, I don't think anybody was really effective receiver for the receiving core. So I was pretty worried about the Rams offense.
Yeah, everybody thought was it Allen Robinson? He was
Hey,
He only had
blacklisted.
2 targets though.
Blacklisted.
Hey,
I
yeah,
told you guys.
if you had in fantasy football, if you started Cam Akers or Allen Robinson, I mean, it's horrible start to your season. I think sour taste in my mouth with both of those guys. Are you still trusting Allen Robinson going forward? I know it's only one game, it's a new team, but who do you have more trust in, Cam Akers going forward or Allen Robinson?
Allen Robinson, because he doesn't have. He's not coming off of a torn Achilles. That's the only thing I have to say. And Cam Akers, he didn't look too good when he got his touches, albeit the offensive line didn't look very good either. They weren't getting a lot of push. You can tell there's a lot of trouble up front for the Rams. So while I said I'm blacklisting Allen Robinson, which I am, you'll never hear me say him as a must start or like a sneaky start of the week. Or if you ask me to sit him or bench him, I'm more than likely, sit him or bench him, sit him or start him. I'm more than likely going to say sit him. But I have more faith in Allen Robinson than Cam Akers to answer the question. But you got to be worried if you're an Allen Robinson owner too, because you only see 2 targets. What do you guys think about that? 2 targets? Is he going to get targeted more next week?
Honestly, I think the Rams offense is in a little bit of trouble. There's really no explosiveness there, man. I mean, yes, Cooper Kupp is elite, but he doesn't have those long touchdowns in him. I know Van Jefferson's supposed to be that guy for them, but like Van Jefferson, I think they're in a little bit of trouble. Those elbow questions, if you ask me, the elbow's bothering Stafford. I'll shoot him that bell because he played like shit, fam. So I'm going to shoot him the bell that he's a little bit injured. We saw Henderson, get the bulk of the carries, not Cam Akers. And the receivers, they just, besides Kupp, there's nothing really there. So I think that the Rams are in trouble, bro.
Roland, on that stat line, can you pull up the Bills defense? Because we talked about a certain player that moved from the Rams to the Bills, and he was, not so bad that night. That's Von Miller himself. We talked about over-under on the half sack. The guy showed out 2 sacks.
Yeah, 2 sacks.
And you saw other stuff like Gregory Rose saw stuffing balls at the line. This Bills defense showed out, and they look really good. There's no hangover from last year for them. Man, it's real early, but looking at those Bills futures is not bad right now.
They're stacked. They're easily the best roster in football.
18 points on fantasy on that defense this past week.
Yeah, Mike just said that he left the Bills D on the bench, but I mean, you're not going to play that D against the defending champs in LA first game. You're just not going to do it. But at least now But I want to talk about the other defensive squad. Aaron Donald, Ramsey, who was getting teabagged by Allen when he was on the ground. That defense looked very, very susceptible to the longer plays, which we don't see them give up. Over the top of Ramsey. I mean, he got beat. Allen was, looked like a man amongst boys out there rushing the ball too. For touchdowns. I mean, they took it to this Rams defense, man, who I thought was gonna show out a little bit more at home, but they gave up 31 points, albeit to the Bills, but physically and the game plan wasn't there. So besides them looking bad offensively, as a complete team, they did not start off the season well.
Yeah, and it's even scarier from the perspective of like the Bills. They turned the ball over 4 times, albeit the last turnover was that fumble from, I think it was Singletary at the end of the game when they were running, or Moss when they were running the clock out and he fumbled. So don't really count that one, but they still won a game by 3 scores in which they turned the ball over 3 times. So 4 times, but like I said, I'm not really counting that last one. So
Gotcha.
3 times really throughout the course of the game. That's impressive, and it's scary for the rest of the league when you think about it. So
just to close out that Bills defense about benching them, I think you kind of had to. I left them on my bench as well. I ended up starting the 49ers against the Bears. I mean, it was a hell of a showing, 7 sacks, 2 or 3 interceptions. They killed it, 25 points, but it's one of those where you kind of just got to, show the champs a little bit of respect week 1. You know what I mean? If there's better options out there, use the other options.
True, very true. So, just like Ben said, to wrap things up, you got teams that look like they're going in different directions. You got the Bills ascending and the Rams. They got some questions to answer before moving on the rest of the season. But Just wanted to shout out the Thursday game. Give Ben and Ron their flowers for calling the game to a T.
Made some money
for the
on
most
that
part,
game.
making some money. And that's what we're here to do. So let's move on from Thursday. Let's move on to some football news. Yeah, let's get into the day. Justin alluded to this earlier with the Rams and some potential news. There's some rumblings. Some of this might be smoke. Some of this might be fire. But apparently the Rams were looking at Jimmy G if he was going to be released. So they didn't want to spend anything on him. If he was going to get cut, they would have looked at him. So that maybe leads you to believe that they might be a little bit more worried about that Stafford elbow.
Yeah.
And then the next one here before we move on is we should spend a little bit of time on this, is Lamar Jackson. He turned down $250 million extension from the Ravens.
How do you turn on that big a bag?
From what I read quickly, I didn't read the whole article. I just read a quick snippet. He turned it down because of the guaranteed money. He wanted the full guaranteed contract, wasn't going to get it, so ended up saying no thank you. He
wants it fully guaranteed at signing.
What are your thoughts on that, Justin? Do you like him calling the shot on himself, or do you think it's a bad business by Lamar?
I think he doesn't have the leverage he thinks he has. I think it's bad business. I think you take the $250 million deal because you're still getting, I think, 174 fully guaranteed. I think what he's trying to do is bet on himself, but I believe the Ravens will be eligible to franchise tag him next year. And I think if they do, he's making $14 million on the year, which is going to be less.
Trash.
I just think that you got to take the money. I mean, 174 fully guaranteed is not bad, but I think you saw, like you had mentioned earlier, I believe on Twitter, the barometer of Deshaun Watson getting a fully guaranteed deal. And I think he expects the same and wants to, set that market with him, reset that market with him.
Ben, I know you're a big Lamar guy. You're a fan of his. You've drafted him in fantasy before. What are your thoughts on this? I know you like Lamar. So
yeah,
do you want to see him get paid?
I do want to see him get paid. I'm curious to see what the number was that they were getting him guaranteed money. I mean, obviously,
Justin said 174.
174. That's a hell of a lot of guaranteed money. That's a lot of guaranteed money. That's at least 3/4 of the contract, pretty much, or almost 3/4. I see why he wants it fully guaranteed. His play style. I think that if you're the Ravens, it's just a business decision that you really don't want to do that because of his play style. And there's only been one other quarterback that's done it, and then that poverty-ass franchise of the Cleveland Browns were the ones to do it. You know what I mean? It's a horrible situation for both of them, I think. It's a lot of money. I think Lamar should have taken it. I mean, he hasn't, he has the MVP to his name, but as far as playoff success, they've underachieved for the most part. So to want to be the highest paid quarterback, the most guaranteed money, ambitious, but I'd say pump the brakes a bit. I like the deal that they offered him. That's a lot of guaranteed money, bro.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Ravens organization looking at it on the other side, what has this guy done for you? Yes, he's incredible. Yes, he's got to the playoffs, but he's never taken you to that big game. Yes, he's still young in his career, but if you're going to give this guy all this money, he really hasn't done much, and that's why, like Ben said, the Cleveland Brown situation was freaking ridiculous, man. But they set the precedent. And now all these quarterbacks are going to want the same thing, and it's going to be hard for them. And then it's puts pressure on franchises to say, okay, if we want a guy like Lamar after his franchise tag and he wants to leave, we're going to have to start thinking, okay, guaranteed contracts. But do they get a little bit less so it's feasible for both the player and the organization?
Yeah, I definitely think Edgar has a good point. The owners are definitely trying to reset the norm. They're trying to show that Watson contract was an anomaly, and that's just not going to happen.
Edgar.
Not going to happen out there.
And who helped him out? The good boy Russell Wilson said, "I got you, owners. I'll take a hell of a huge deal."
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, if there was ever a player that should hold out and not play, it is Lamar Jackson, in my opinion. Just his style of play, it leads to a little bit more injury. So his risk of playing this year and getting injured is a little bit higher than somebody else that wanted to bet on himself. And the team is completely built around Lamar Jackson. If he's not there, they win 3 games, 4 games tops. They need Lamar
He
Jackson
is that
there.
offense.
So if he were to sit out, it would really, I think, show the Ravens a little bit and make them eat their words and not, wanting to give them a little bit more money. But, to Ben's point, I think it's a good deal. I don't think it was disrespectful at all from the Ravens. They're just trying to do some business. But if I were Lamar, I'd definitely consider sitting out if you're really trying to get that money. So
yeah, prayers to good health for him this year, bro, because if he gets hurt,
we want to see him get a bag.
Yeah. Prayer hands for sure.
I'm just glad we got a real Diaz in the chat finally, bro.
All right, well, that was the news and notes for football today. We're gonna get in to the real meat and potatoes of why we're here today. That's the week 1 outlook. We got some weather report here real quick. We got a bunch of dome games. I think the real weather game that I'm hearing news of right now as I'm looking at my phone and stuff is the Bears and the 49ers. They're expecting some weather there. They're expecting this to be a running game. Hearing a lot of Elijah Mitchell. You see 69 degrees there, sort of a little cold. You got some rain and some wind to deal with, and also some rain in Washington as well. So just some things to be on the lookout for in those 2 games. Because I know 49ers, you got popular players like Lance and Debo and even Ayuk and Elijah Mitchell. Then you got Montgomery and Mooney and Kmet on the other side. So just to be on the lookout for that game.
Yeah, hey, real quick to everybody in the chat, we're going to be talking fantasy here in a bit. So if you have any decisions to make and you need a little bit of help, throw them in the chat. When we get to that section, we'll definitely talk about it.
Yep. We're like one section away from fantasy. So
fantasy's coming up. Fantasy's coming up right now. Just want to get through all the need to knows, especially injuries. It's only week 1, but the injury report is as full as can be. Pictured here, J.K. Dobbins. I know a lot of people were betting on him, spending draft picks anywhere from the 3rd round to the 6th round, depending on the leagues that you play. It looks like he's not going to suit up today. So I honestly couldn't tell you who the running back behind him is. I think it's Mike Davis. There you go. Yeah, Mike Davis.
Jackson.
And Lamar Jackson, exactly.
Lamar Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, so Dobbins is out. Gene pointed out Kittle out once again. Very disappointing start to his season, both in real life and fantasy football. And I just poking a little bit of fun, putting Christian McCaffrey on there because he had the shin injury in practice. He got cut and got that shin designation. And then the other guy, other big name, Michael Thomas. People were hoping that he was going to come back, maybe return to his form in 2019. It looks like it's not going to be. He's going to be a game-time decision with a hamstring.
ETD on him.
Anything that you guys want to point out from this list? Any disappointments like we mentioned with Kittle and Dobbins?
I think for me, just seeing the Kayvon Thibodeau issue, him being out basically off an unnecessary block in the preseason, it's just unfortunate because, he's one of the first-round picks. He went in the top 5. Looking forward to seeing edge rushers like him play in the NFL, and we're not going to get to see it in the first week.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really stands out for me here. Not a lot of fantasy-wise injury reports. Maybe Kittle. I mean, that's somebody who probably got drafted, often. J.K. Dobbins, like you mentioned, the MILF hunter himself, Zach Wilson. I wasn't a big fan of him coming out of college, but he did well, and the weapons that they got this year and the offseason, I was kind of looking forward for the Jets, revamping their team a little bit, and now he's out because of preseason, and it kind of just goes to show that, man, we might see a lot of teams just not starting any starters for preseason at all whatsoever because a la Cowboys, now we have this guy because of a preseason loss when we lost Romo, so I could definitely see a lot less starters playing in the preseason.
Yeah, the one that sticks out to me is Mike Thomas. And I know Rexa was in the chat saying that Mike Thomas is going to be good to go today. But he's constantly on the injury report, man. I don't have any trust in him this year. I'm more of an Olave fan this season for the Saints. So seeing Michael Thomas on there isn't a big surprise. And then why do we have Christian McCaffrey on the injury report, man?
He
said he didn't want to be on the injury report, all right?
Just a little joke.
Sheesh, man.
Drake London, Edgar. That's somebody I really was looking forward to see because I'm not big on him. He got a lot of hype towards the draft, but he didn't have the best college career. So I wanted to see what he was going to do.
I think he's trending towards playing. I know he's logged limited practices. The last few practices, actually, I know he practiced on Fridays. So trending towards playing for Drake London. I do want to point out this is more for betting emphasis here. At the bottom, Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas, Tampa Bay, and Arizona are all littered with injuries. If you pull up their injury report, it looks like a midseason injury report for a lot of those teams down there. Green Bay extremely hurt on the offensive line. Detroit has some offensive line issues. So does Dallas. So does Tampa and Arizona. They got injuries on both sides of the ball. So definitely look at those teams if you're looking at playing them and maybe some over-unders, or if you're looking at betting against them.
All righty.
Yeah, and the Vikings,
here we go.
Those favorites. Good point, Diego.
We get into the portion of the show where everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah, let's
Ron,
do it.
you've named this appropriately. I want you to say it. What's the name of this section?
What's your fantasy?
Yeah, we're doing a little start sit. This question was brought to you by Ben. And if you guys have any questions, Diego, I see you already have one. We'll get to it right now. Put them in the comments.
Chill, Diego.
But Ben, walk us through this one.
Yeah, so this is a decision that I'm having to make in a league at RB2. AJ Dillon, a guy who I'm pretty high on this year. And then we got Pierce for the Texans, probably the guy who had the highest, draft ADP, fluctuation throughout the preseason after he was named the starter for the Texans. Saw him get in the end zone in the preseason, and people seem to think that the Texans are going to be respectable as far as moving the ball offensively, with Davis Mills. So I think this is a pretty decent question because Dillon is the number 2 to Aaron Jones, and Pierce is obviously the starter on a lower end team like the Texans. So it's the decision that I had to make with RB2 on if I'm gonna start AJ Dillon or Pierce. Right now, I do have AJ Dillon starting. I think that he's gonna be the touchdown guy for the Packers. We know that Lazard isn't playing today, so they're gonna be running the ball a lot. I went with AJ Dillon, but I am excited about Pierce. What do you guys think? Am I right or wrong?
I think you're looking at it the right way. It's an RB2 on a high end team versus a RB1 on a lower end team, and then you also got to look at the situation the Packers will find themselves in. They'll probably be in a high scoring game versus the Vikings, so I do think that'll lead to more opportunities for Dillon. It's just that I think the usage on Pierce is going to be at least I think he's going to at least have 7 more touches than Dillon. Like he'll be in that range of more opportunity than Dillon. So for that factor, give me Pierce in this one because I am starting him in a league.
And they are playing the Colts. I mean, the Colts defense, the Colts team, all around pretty high expectations. So.
No Shaq Leonard today, though. I do want to know Shaq Leonard, the leader of the defense. So, yeah.
Ron, I saw we all win talking about Pierce is going to tear it up. Are you going Pierce here or what?
Yeah, I would definitely go Pierce, man. Somebody mentioned also that it is a split backfield in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So right away, that's just a bad sign for me. Roland used a key word, which is usage. And I think Pierce is going to get a lot more usage in Houston. And if it's a PPR, I would especially go with Pierce here because Dillon isn't really that pass catching back. He's more, pounded in from the red zone kind of guy, which is good, for touchdowns. But Jones is really the one who Rodgers looks for whenever he wants to throw the ball. So I would go with Pierce here just with overall usage. I think even if the Texans are down to the Colts, usually we see teams pass to come back, obviously, to get, to cut the leads down. But I think he can still be used as a pass catcher out of the backfield. So give me Pierce just because of overall usage. And then if I have to count on Dillon just getting tutties from the red zone, I would rather go with the guy who's going to get used more. So hopefully Mills gets it to your boy here, your ex squad.
Hey, the chat is saying Pierce also. Jerry, Edgar, a lot of people saying Pierce also. Justin, are you with them or am I tripping here? Do I need to
so I left Jerry's comment highlighted for this simple reason is that I have the same stance on it. Give me an RB1 over a team with the split backfield. Not only that, do they have a split backfield? The primary offense runs through Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be looking to pass the ball. Give me Pierce today. against the
Look at
Colts.
quads on Dylan though, bro. Pause. But I mean, look at.
I was gonna
legs
say
on this
good,
dude,
good
bro.
job, good job getting the picture with the shorts so you can highlight the quads.
He's
there.
got the hoochie daddies on.
Yeah.
You can see all the
But-
quads.
Hoochie daddy shorts.
Also, the Packers, some of those injuries are on the offensive line, so they might have trouble.
I'm gonna switch Pierce in for Dylan, boys. All right,
Man,
I got talked into it.
we just tinkered with Ben's lineup, right?
That's
And
what
it
we're here
worked
to
out.
do, right?
That's what this
what we're
whole
here to do.
show's about. This
Hey,
portion of the
Roland,
show.
Lazard is not playing. Lazard is more than likely not going to play. Gene, he's part of that multiple injury list.
I think he's
on
doubtful.
the Packers.
He's listed as doubtful.
Probably not going to play.
All right, let's go, Pierce.
All right, so next
you don't
one,
know? Marky Garza in the house.
we're switching to the wide receiver position. This is more than likely for most people that have this decision. If you do a flex decision, who do you want in your flex? More than likely a PPR. Elijah Moore for the Jets going up against the Ravens. Or do you want Darnell Mooney for the Bears going up against, who are they going up against? The 49ers and that weather game that we mentioned in Chicago. Myself right now, I'm leaning towards Mooney. I think he's the number one target for sure in Chicago. No question about it. I think he's going to have at least, 7 to 8 targets, maybe a little bit more, just whether or not he converts on some of those. So give me Mooney here.
Yeah, Sam, I'm definitely with you here just because of the quarterback situation in New York with Joe Flacco. And I would take Justin Fields. I would take Justin Fields to extend the plays. He's somebody who, doesn't have that pinpoint accuracy, but he can find a hot receiver like Mooney down the field, and Mooney can create for himself yards after catch wise. That's just it for me there. I'd go in with Mooney over Moore because I think he has a higher ceiling and a better quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not big on the Jets at all, especially with Joe Flacco. Mooney holds a soft spot in my heart. That run last year, that playoff run last year, Mooney was one of those waiver wire guys that he won you championships. So give me Mooney. He already has a little connection with Fields. Yes, they suck. They will be passing a lot. Mooney's going to get double-digit targets. We'll see how many receptions he grabs.
Where do you land on this one, Justin?
If it's a PPR league, give me Mooney just because of the targets. But if you're in a standard league, give me Moore because I do not trust that offensive line from the Chicago Bears to give Justin Fields any sort of time to make any connection. We did see Elijah Moore be somewhat serviceable last year with other quarterbacks. I think he'll be all right with Flacco again this week. So I would take Moore over in the standard league. Mooney if you're running PPR.
And there was that talk in the preseason of Garrett Wilson. I think he came out and he was talking about how good of a ball Joe Flacco throws. And he was kind of like insinuating that he likes the ball that Joe Flacco throws more than Zach Wilson. So I don't know if there's anything to that, but the one highlight I saw, and keep in mind this is a 30-second clip, the one highlight I saw of the Jets was Joe Flacco throwing it directly to the defender on a pick 6 in the preseason. So I don't know. That's why I'm going with Mooney here. But I like your stance though, Justin, as far as Moore having a good chance to get into the
yeah, man. That was spot on analysis there, Justin. I like that. So, you gave some flowers to Moore.
So we see some comments here. I think Diego, he had a question, a starter sit. Let me see if I can find it. It's a little Penny or Higgins in a standard league. Throwing it back a little bit. Not too many standard leagues out there, but if I were to answer this question, I would probably go with Higgins just because I think he's going to score. I think he might have an opportunity to score a touchdown, and I have a higher ceiling for the Bengals offense in general than the Seahawks. Even though Penny is the number one this week because Walker's out, I like Higgins' chances of scoring still more than Penny's.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. I would definitely go Higgins just because you know me, Joe Burrow. I'm in the pocket like Burrow. Higgins all day, bro. I'm not gonna draft any Seattle players regardless. Oh no, I'm lying. I fucking got DK. But yeah, but okay. Other than DK, I ain't touching nobody on Seattle's roster for fantasy, bro. I'm sorry, especially with a guy like Higgins on the other side that I can choose from. Give me T Higgins all day.
Yeah, with Penny or Higgins, I mean, the offenses are just night and day. You know what I mean? You got, like Ron said, Burrow throwing to Higgins. You saw the connection last year. Non-PPR, so I see why he's debating starting the running back who could possibly get that goal line look. But the Seahawks are big dogs. They're going to get killed. I think it's a no-brainer. You go Higgins, especially based off where you drafted Higgins. You drafted Higgins way earlier than you drafted Rashad Penny.
True. Very true.
All right, guys. If y'all have any fantasy questions, y'all can unload them right now. We didn't have the fantasy mailbag open this week because it was week 1.
Because we forgot.
But week 2, we definitely will have that open. But if y'all have anything, throw it in the comments. We'll look at it. We looked at Diego's, and we're willing to talk about it here and see what y'all think.
Yeah, drop them in the comment box. But since we don't have a fantasy mailbag, we are doing the We Talking About Sports Fantasy League. We'll talk about that right now, some general fantasy talk. But we started a keeper league this year. I hadn't done a keeper league before. Ron and Ben joined me. We got some matchups going in that league also. Is there anything that you guys are mulling over in your fantasy lineups other than, I know, Ben, you had that question earlier of Pierce or Dylan? But is there anything in general you guys want to talk about with your fantasy?
Yeah, there was another one that we talked a little bit before, and maybe some people have this guy. Maybe they're flexing him. Maybe he's on their bench. But Hollywood Brown, I have him on my bench, and I'm starting. I started Diggs. I have Devontae Adams, and my third wide receiver is Michael Pittman Jr. So I have really high hopes for Michael Pittman Jr. this year, especially being the number 1 on that Colts offense. But, against the Texans, a game where they're probably going to be winning, front running, maybe not needing to pass so much. And then you got Hollywood Brown that I could possibly slot in for him playing against the Chiefs, a game that they might be losing, having to come back from. Zach Ertz is playing after all. DeAndre Hopkins is out. So do I start Hollywood Brown or do I start Michael Pittman Jr.?
Well, Michael Pittman Jr. is a guy that I'm mad that I didn't get any shares of this year because he was just going before I was able to get him. So I'm really high on Pittman, but I'm in love with Marquise Brown for at least the first couple weeks of the season. He was off to a crazy start last year. He was trending towards being a wide receiver 1 throughout the first 9 weeks of the season before Lamar Jackson got hurt. No DeAndre Hopkins, no Rondale Moore today. His only other competition for targets is Ertz, who's been hurt, and AJ Green. So give me Marquise Brown all day today. He's my must start of the week. We don't have that pictured, but Marquise Brown would be my must start of the week. I like that combination between him and Kyler completely. I mean, just think about it. He goes from a run-heavy offense in Baltimore that's centered around Lamar Jackson to where he get a couple deep shots a game to an air raid offense with a quarterback that he's played with before at Oklahoma and in Arizona. So give me a Marquise Brown in that matchup. I like that a lot.
Real quick,
and he's going to find himself in a good game with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are susceptible to the deep ball. So give me Marquise Brown.
I'll just make it a consensus and go with Brown as well, because we're forgetting who that focal point in Indy is and who's going to get the majority of the play calls, and that's Jonathan Taylor. They're going to be running Jonathan Taylor a lot. Their running game is the focal point there in Indy. So give me Brown. He has the better ceiling in a sense that he can create those longer passing plays, those 50 yard touchdowns, so will get you 10 to 11 points right off the bat. Hey, bro, can you tell Bo to be quiet or no?
Yeah.
What about you, Justin? Who do you like in that matchup, Pittman or Marquise Brown?
I mean, for the points you made, Roland, I would go Marquise Brown. D-Hop, their number 1's out, 6 weeks or 7 weeks because of a PED suspension. You would go, and you have the Oklahoma connection. That was his, receiver in college, so they already have chemistry. I'd go Marquise Brown, as Mark Garza says.
We got Jerry, who's going the other side, Ben. Jerry's on Pittman.
And
he brings up a good point, too. Marquise Brown did not have a full preseason.
Yeah, Pittman's one of those, player hills that I'm going to die on this season, so I don't know if I'm going to switch this one out. I think if there was a week to start Marquise Brown, though, it would be this week, with the matchup against the Bills and no Hopkins, but that's going to be a game time decision. We have some good questions here, though.
Yeah.
Let's start with Marks.
Well, that's not a good question.
First.
That's a stupid
how do you get all those guys on your team? Your team's fucking stacked, wait.
He's in a 10-man.
Zero running back. We didn't draft the running back till the 5th round. We took AJ Dillon. So
all right, what's the next question?
Can you trust Miles Sanders to give you a decent year? What type of fucking question is that? Come on, Miles Sanders. We're talking about Miles Sanders here, Marquis. We appreciate the question, but no, you cannot trust anybody in the Philadelphia backfield except Jalen Hurts. That's it.
Yeah, and that's a team that just added Trey Sermon this week as well. You know, there was some talk that he was doing well in camp with the 49ers. Expect to see that backfield very much split. You could probably see 3 backs get touches this week alone.
Yeah, you can't trust Miles Sanders at all. I've made the mistake, I think, a year or two ago buying into the hype when I think it might have been his rookie year. I think I might have drafted him because he had the Saquon Barkley hype coming from Penn State, being the next Penn State running back. But yeah, I'm all out on Miles Sanders.
All right, Edgar has Aaron Rodgers at Minnesota or Russell Wilson going home to Seattle.
Give me Russell Wilson here. Make it short and simple. I like Russell Wilson. He's got the weapons. He's in a comeback game against Seattle, who they're starting rookie cornerbacks that they drafted in the 4th round, albeit he's a UTSA Roadrunner, Tyreek Woolen, but they're short back there in terms of their depth. So give me Russell Wilson.
Yeah, same, bro. Russ is out to prove something, and he's got the weapons to do it. Aaron Rodgers, to me, actually, when we get into it later, I took him to take the L. I took the Vikings to win. We saw that Lazard is out. I think they focus more on the running game, and he lost week 1 last year, and he hasn't had a lot of season success early. You know, that's where the whole relax, meme came from. So I would go with Russ. Also because he's older, but he can still scramble. You know, he's still got those legs. So maybe a rushing tutty here or there. I'll definitely go Russ over Aaron. And I like Jerry's comment. These guys need help with the drafts. Laugh out loud, Miles Sanders.
Hey, some people buy into the hype.
That shouldn't be drafted. Hey, it's pretty crazy though, because I mean that's the back-to-back MVP Aaron Rodgers. We did talk about some of his weapons, being missed, but I agree with you. It's no brainer. Russell Wilson, against Seattle, he's going to want to stick it to Pete Carroll's old ass.
Yeah, and you never know. Like Edgar's pointing out too, you don't know if Aaron's going to be playing on the perks or not. So
you gotta watch out for that. He's going to be off the
Percocet. Molly Percocet.
So talking about Russell Wilson does bring us to Edgar's next question, though. Who's going to be the guy in Denver? Judy or Sutton? That's probably one of the most popular questions surrounding this team this past offseason. Who's your guy, Ben? I see you're finishing a drink, but you have a smile on your face.
Well, because we had our Broncos correspondent, Mando Obregón, on the podcast this year.
Oh, that's right.
He actually came on live, and if you remember the bold-ass hot take of all hot takes that he said Jerry Jeudy is going to have a Tyreek Hill type of season. Very wishful thinking.
That is honestly what he said.
I think it is a coin flip between Jeudy and Sutton. Everybody's been talking about Sutton being the number 1. The bigger playmaker is Jeudy because of the speed, the youth. Sutton has battled back from injuries, but to me, he's more of that possession receiver now, that bigger guy.
50.
Yeah, give me Jeudy to have the better year.
I'm going with your brother. I'm going with Sutton. I rolled the dice on him in 2 leagues as well, Edgar. I didn't get to stack him with Russell Wilson, but I like Sutton because I think he's going to be the touchdown guy. I do agree with my brother too, though. Shout out Gabriel, calling him 1A, 1B. I think it's going to be close, but give me Sutton, though, because I think he's going to score more touchdowns. And again, this is smoke or fire, whether or not you believe this stuff coming out of camp. But the word out of camp in Denver is it's been Sutton, and it hasn't been close as the number 1 target for Russell Wilson. So give me Sutton here.
And this question kind of helps with the Aaron Rodgers and Russ question. I mean, we're saying that there's 2 studs for Russ. So, I mean, you got to go with Russ. And going back to that question, and have you guys squashed the beef yet? You and Gabriel on your whole fantasy?
We're good. We're good until we play each other in these leagues, and I get to curse at him for having some of the players that I wanted and stuff like that. But we're good for now. Shout out Gabriel.
Yeah.
And we got another question from Louis. Shout out Louis. He's been in the chat all
He's in the podcast league this year. Louis,
get
smoke.
He hasn't talked to me. Damn.
Nah, that's not true. Sutton or Waddle. I'm assuming you went wide receiver heavy in your draft, Louis. So good. This is a good choice for you to have, but it's likely one that could maybe win or lose your game. Where are you guys going on this one? Waddle has been dealing with the injury all offseason. Supposedly he's good to go, and he was Tua's guy last year, but now he has to deal with Tyreek Hill and all the stuff that we've already talked about with Sutton. Ron, where are you going with this one?
That's tough, bro.
It's a tough question.
That's probably the best question so far by Louis here. Oh shit. Give me Sutton just because of all the things that you said as far as, you know, him looking so good in camp. And Waddle, there are a lot of more mouths to feed over there, and the quarterback situation too. This is the storyline. Can Tua throw the ball down the field? So give me Sutton just because he has the better quarterback and all the things that are coming out from camp. I also like the bigger, you know, receivers too. They can win 50-50 balls, you know, especially in the end zone. Somebody like Waddle will probably have to get into the end zone with a yard after catch kind of scenario. He might not get targeted. So give me Sutton over Waddle here.
What about you, Ben? Where do you fall on this
Yeah,
one?
I mean, if Tyreek Hill wasn't on the team and Waddle was still the number one, kind of like he was last year, I think I would go Waddle just based off the chemistry already. But even with Russell Wilson being new to Denver, you got to think that he's going to throw some touchdowns against the Seahawks. I think you got to go Sutton here. I agree to his ass, Edgar. I think it's Sutton over Waddle.
Yeah, I'd go Sutton here too. I just noted my affinity for him over Judy. So give me Sutton over here over Waddle. And they got a decent matchup against the Patriots. You know, the Patriots are down this year. I think a lot of people are not high on them. They lost a bunch of pieces in the secondary over the course of the offseason, but they usually do a good job of taking away your best weapons. So maybe he gets held in check here. So give me Sutton. I think he's going to score a touchdown. Good question here from Jerry. Thoughts on Michael Thomas? We talked about him in the injury report. Man, I was coming back around on Michael Thomas before this recent injury news came out, and I'm back off on him. It's just too much with this guy. You know, when is he ever going to be healthy again? I mean, the last time that he's actually been good, it was in 2019. We're going on 3 years now.
Yeah, I'm out on Michael Thomas. 3 years, bro. 3 years. They were talking about him as a top wide receiver that one year that he had all those receptions with Drew Brees. He got paid, and he just hasn't been the same since. You know, give me Olave over Michael Thomas this year. You could have drafted Olave a little bit later in the draft as well. And you want to draft those rookies over those guys who have been in the league. I mean, I know, like I said, Michael Thomas was being debated as one of the top wide receivers in the league, but with 3 years out of the game, and honestly, I don't even think he wants to be in New Orleans, bro. Like, they've just been going back and forth. So give me Olave over Michael Thomas.
I like this question here. Landry or Kareem Hunt flex. I've been a big Landry guy. I'm a huge wide receiver 2 guy, and especially now that Michael Thomas is probably out or not going to, you know, or
good point.
Hurt or doesn't want to be there. Give me Jarvis here. And Kareem Hunt is tough though, because he does get his touches. We know that it's going to be a majority run game over there in Cleveland, but give me Landry here over Kareem Hunt. Mark, that's who I would go with personally if I had to choose.
Yeah, this one, give me Kareem Hunt just because I already know what his role is going to look like. I know Ron just noted that Michael Thomas is going to be out, but I still haven't seen Landry play in a Saints uniform, so it's kind of one of those things that I want to see it happen first with him. So give me Kareem Hunt because I think he's going to have a solid game today.
Same, Kareem Hunt for me.
All right, we can wrap it up with this one because we got to get to the bets. Well, Bull has one too, so.
Nah, fuck Bull's question. He's playing me. Is Juju the man in KC, Edgar ass? I'm going to go with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think that he's going to be the best wide receiver out of Kansas City this year. I drafted him a lot in fantasy football. I'm a believer in him. I think he's going to be the over-the-top guy, that Tyreek Hill role. So give me Marquez Valdez-Scantling to be the man in KC.
Man, give me nobody as the man. I heard
Kelsey?
Mahomes saying that it's going to be somebody different every week. I don't know if he's playing coy or doesn't want to say who he's had a connection with, but I'm kind of a believer in that because no one jumps off the paper as a clear number one. So you could see a situation where a different guy every week steps up for the Chiefs, just depending on the game. And, you know, maybe there's a game where the team's susceptible to the deep ball. So MVS catches 2 tuds, you know, and has a good game, or a team is giving, a lot of teams are playing that too high safety shell now. They're forcing everything underneath. You see Juju and Sky Moore eat on underneath routes one game on PPR league. So there's going to be a different guy every game. And then you got Kelsey's still there. So, yeah, I didn't touch any Chiefs receivers, although it is tempting because you want to pair yourself to Mahomes. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, you expect Mahomes to ball out, so those receivers are going to have to put up stats.
Puro Kelsey dead. Puro Travis.
But what if it ends up being like that year? Remember, or those years rather, before Michael Thomas got there, where you never knew what Saints receiver was going to have a good game because Drew Brees was just diming it all over the place. And a bunch of different guys had 5 catches and stuff like that. So that's what worries me.
To Marquise Colston, bro. All right.
Oh, Marquise. Hey, that's true. That's true. Shout out to what, 7th round pick or something like that.
Yeah. We'll leave fantasy with this one right here. Bull says Renfro or Pierce versus Ben this week, fellas. It is half point PPR. So are you all taking Renfro, the slot receiver, or the number 1 running back in Pierce at the flex?
That's a toughie, Bull.
That's a tough one because I think that Raiders and Chargers game is going to be a shootout. So give me Renfro. I like Renfro here.
I no sé that. But give me Renfro, bro. Give me Renfro. Let's go with Renfro because Derek Carr is going to sling it. He's going to be slinging it all over the place, bro. Yeah. And Renfro was very good at inside the 10, the 15-yard line. He does those little Cooper Kupp type routes where he can get open and get into the end zone. So give me Renfro, and hopefully you take down Ben this week. Somebody asked real quick. What do you think?
Let's get to the plays. Let's get to the plays.
Yeah, but just to answer this real quick, what do you think of DJ Moore? We said that we liked him, but between these two for our What's Your Fantasy, we chose Mooney.
No, he's talking DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, my bad.
I like him a little bit more this year. I don't have him. I was a believer in him early. Kind of got like a stale taste in my mouth because he didn't really find the end zone a lot. But he's a very, very talented receiver. And I think he gets an upgrade with Baker Mayfield as his quarterback. So I could see a route to DJ Moore having himself a decent year this year.
Yeah, and then Edgar said Waller is there too, but we saw what Josh Allen did. He had a lot of weapons, and he fed Gabe Davis. He fed obviously Diggs. So there's a lot of mouths to feed, but I think Derek Carr can make it happen. So that's why I'm going to go with Renfro todavía. Yeah, let's
all right.
Some
with that being said,
let's get to the bets.
The second reason why we're all here today, we have our betting card. We have what we like to call it we talking about sports super contest, where we give you guys 3 picks against the spread. Each of us go through the slate, give you our 3 favorite picks.
That's a zaddy pick right there.
Thank you for the pick, making me look good here with my fitted. And I got my 3 picks here. We talked. Diego talked about the line spread move. These are all picks towards closing. These are all lines as of today. So I know on the Vikings, I missed the wave on this line here because the Vikings were, I think they were an underdog at one point this week, and then all the news hits with the Packers injuries. So the line moved a little bit. So that is one thing you guys want to pay attention to is line movement based on news and stuff. So I took the Vikings -1.5 because I like them opening the season at home. They're going against a divisional opponent that they're familiar with. They got a new offense with O'Connell coming over. A lot of people are excited about it. And the Packers, they're injured right now. We don't know what that offense is going to look like without Devontae Adams. So give me the Vikings to get rolling. Take a -1.5. Give me the Jags here, +3. I think they're going to get started in the Doug Peterson era. I think they're going to get started off on the right foot. Completely different vibes from Urban Meyer's time there. I like them at +3. They're going up against the Commanders, who you don't know what you're going to get there with Carson Wentz. I'm a lot higher on the news that's been coming out of Jacksonville versus Washington. So give me the Jags there. And then this one, I'm just taking because of the hook. I like it at +3.5. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think you're going to want to take the over. We didn't highlight it. We should have, but it was listed on the injury report. The Chargers are going to be without J.C. Jackson. So that's going to offer up a little bit of a mismatch for Devontae Adams. Look for Devontae Adams to eat today. Give me the Raiders +3.5. I have them losing, and it's going to be like a 31-28 type of game. So that's kind of where I'm coming with on these picks. So Vikings -1.5, Jags +3, Raiders +3.5. Hopefully I hit 2 out of 3, and I'm not embarrassed to come back and talk about this next week. So let's see who.
I like, bro. I like them. I like your picks, pal.
Thank you. All right, now we got Mr.
Oh,
Ben. Do you want to give him credit? He's technically 1-0 because
I am 1-0 because the Bills would have been one of my picks.
Chill.
You know the Bills would have been one of my picks, Roland. I was in the group
well.
chat telling everybody to bet that shit about 2-3 weeks ago.
Bueno, go.
All right,
You're
all right.
Well, let's get to today. We talked about ugly weather, the 49ers against the Bears. I expect the Bears to be the worst team in football this year, lowest scoring team in football this year. Give me the Niners, something like 27-3, 27-10. Then I got Panthers revenge game. Baker Mayfield, one more time, baby. One more time. For all the commercials, we got a backup quarterback going in Cleveland. Amari Cooper, not the biggest fan of their receiving core in general. They do have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, but hopefully that Panthers D-line can stuff the run. Give me the Panthers to get some revenge. And then my last pick, Dolphins -3.5. I hate that it's 3.5. I hate the hooker here, but I do think that the Dolphins are going to send a message. We as a podcast expected a pretty bad season for the Patriots, taking their under 8.5 wins. They get their first loss of the season today. Dolphins by a touchdown.
I like it.
I like that. I like that card.
Hell yeah.
Let's go, Mr. Ron.
Shit. All right. Edgar said it here too. Ravens -6.5. So give me Ravens -6.5. The Jets are 1-11 against the spread in their last 12 September games. Ravens easy. We talked about Lamar, everything that they can do. The Jets just don't have it, man. They're gonna get slaughtered. I would say 38-14, something like that. So give me the Ravens -6.5. Give me the Saints as well. The Falcons haven't covered the spread, but they didn't cover the spread in all 7 games at home last year. We saw that their rookie receiver is out as well. I'm not a huge fan of Jameis Winston. He that 30 for 30 year with 30 TDs and 30 picks. But give me the Saints still at -5.5. Alvin Kamara is going to lead that team to a big win today. And then finally, give me the Vikings at -1.5. I'm on the same thing here as Roland. I caught it late, but I have a big wish that Kirk Cousins finally gets it done this year. And that offense, I mean, somebody is going to get Justin Jefferson those 2,000 yards that he's predicted to have. I mean, somebody has to throw him the ball, and I think that's going to be Kirk. He has Cook in the backfield. I think this is a year that the Vikings finally put it together. And Aaron Rodgers, as great as he is, he has 10 losses to the Vikings, which is the most losses that he's ever had against one team. And 7 of those losses were in Minnesota, where the game is being played today. So these are my picks: Ravens, Saints, Vikings. Lock it in, baby.
There we go. I like that. I like the Saints game. I think they're gonna win handedly, or they should, against Arizona, divisional opponent.
Saints screwed us last year in that Survivor, man. The Saints left a little bad taste in my mouth last year with that Survivor pick. That's the team that eliminated us.
One thing to note: there are 10 home underdogs. Everyone's been talking about it all week. There's 10 home underdogs this week in the NFL. So
that yells 10-team parlay to me right there.
And or something crazy is going to happen this week. Hopefully, nothing crazy happens to any of our picks, but we'll see what happens. That's why you got to play the game.
How many have you had, bro?
Yeah, Michigan 6-pack.
Awesome.
We're 1-0, baby. No worries today.
And I do want to point out, Justin is voluntarily taking an 0-3 this week. He's not sending in picks. He's giving us an 0-3. He's giving us a three-game start.
He wins the contest 1 year rolling, and now he thinks he could take fucking weeks off.
Yeah,
all right.
He's taking Yeah, exactly. He's sending a message to us all right now. All right, Justin.
Not me. I'm like Happy Gilmore at the batting cages, baby. Training for next
364 more days till hockey.
Damn right.
We're coming for the throne. We do have some teasers, and I have some plays also that I'll share that are not on the screen. But we do have some teasers here. I believe this first one is Ben's. Do you want to take us through it?
Yeah, real quick. My teaser: 2 teams, 6-point teaser. Pretty simple. I expect these 2 teams to get wins. The Ravens, taking them down from -6.5 to -0.5 point. So they just need to win the game by 1 point. And then the 49ers as well, from 6.5 down to -0.5 to where they just have to beat the Bears. I think we're picking on two of the worst teams in the NFL. The Ravens and the 49ers, both teams with playoff hopes. These are games they have to have. The card's very chalky, week 1 of the NFL, but that's when you expect the big dogs to take care of business, and that's kind of what we're banking on here with this team.
Yeah, so needless to say, if the Ravens lose this week, we're all here are not going to be doing good. Because the Ravens are in my teaser as well. This is a 2-team 6-point teaser. Odds come out better on this than taking a money line parlay, so that's why you want to do the 2-team 6-point teaser on some of these. Ravens minus half a point, again, picking on what's to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And the Bengals minus 1. This one, at first glance, I was a little scared of it in the beginning of the week just because the Steelers, they did upset the Bills in week 1 of the regular season last year. But I think this version of the Steelers team is not as good as it was last year. Still don't think that offensive line has answered its issues. You swap out Big Ben for either Mitch Trubisky or Pickett. The Bengals improved their offensive line, their one weakness that they had last year. You still got Joe Burrow back and with the rest of his weapons for another year. So give me the Bengals. They might not cover the 7, but that's why I tease it down to 1, and I see them winning the game. So Ravens minus half a point and Bengals minus 1 is my week 1 teaser.
Yeah, nice, Roland. Shout out Jerry Cavazos. He's got his 3 picks. He commented here in the chat. I'll take the Panthers. I like that. I'm on the Panthers minus 1. He's on the Saints as well.
And
then he's on the Bucks to take care of business versus y'all's boys.
Hell no, baby. This is our year, dog.
This is our year. Yeah, we'll check back next week with those picks.
I'm worried as hell.
Jerry. Let's talk about that Cowboys and Bucks game before we get out of here.
We didn't get to the NFC East this year. We didn't get to break down the division, and good thing we didn't, because this is probably the lowest that I've been on the Cowboys in a little while. Just because all that we heard, we broke down a bunch of divisions in the NFL this year. And one thing that we saw in all of their additions were Cowboys players. You saw a Cowboys player end up in Denver. You saw a Cowboys player end up in Miami. You saw a Cowboys player end up somewhere else in Cincinnati. The Cowboys did not do anything in the offseason to address their weaknesses. Instead, they let players walk. The draft, say what you will about it, they addressed some issues there. Nothing really popped off the screen for you. Tyron Smith goes down to end the offseason. I'm at an all-time low as a Cowboys fan right now. No weapons. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is truly our only receiver that anybody really knows about right now. Michael Gallup's still not back. Got Jalen Tolbert that we're going to ask a lot of as a rookie, who I didn't see much of in the preseason. So I'm not – my outlook on the Cowboys is not very optimistic right now. I have us slotted at like 9-8, best case scenario. We grind our way to a 9-8 and like a wild card. Best case.
Let us know what you think, pal.
No, I'm with Roland. You look at our pass catchers, CeeDee Lamb, big name, but then you look at, okay, who's our second best pass catcher? And that's a tight end. That's Dalton Schultz. We're very limited at wide receiver with Gallup out and what the routes we're going to be doing. Hopefully Gallup does come back healthy. I'm not sure what the timetable is at for him returning. I'm looking for Jerry Jones to sign some of these free agents that are out there at receiver. We need help at the end of the day. We got to do something. So I'm looking for some sort of wide receiver signing there. I don't like what we got for Cooper. It's going to be interesting.
No, I'm not going to say that the Cowboys are going to go undefeated. What I'm going to say is bring OBJ, bring your boy, Marky, bring OBJ over here to the Big D. Let's go get booming. All right, let's go get booming. Let's get OBJ. Let's make something happen, because our roster's shit right now, and we're not going to do anything. Zeke is, man, I've been the biggest Zeke backer, and he needs to do something this year with his new looking helmet, or he's gone and Tony Pollard is going to take over the reins. But like Justin said, some of our biggest offensive weapons are tight ends, you know, which he's not a bad tight end, but he ain't no Travis Kelce. So I'm worried, bro. Defensively, I'm kind of down. You know, our defense did well last year. That's the only thing that might keep us in some games. Dak is going to be out, you know, on another mission, but he's just, damn, bro. It's just when you need him in the most clutch moments. No, I said, nah, bro.
What's the explanation in your mind for the Cowboys offseason? Like, they just let people walk away. Like they didn't try and get better. Like, is it a sense of cockiness? Like they're just like, okay, we're fine without these guys. You know, we got a good system in place, or
it's a sense of stupidity is what it is.
It's Ron's favorite word. It's a sense of inept front office.
Oh shit!
That's what it comes down to.
Hey, the chat was giving y'all some kudos for keeping it real and raw about the Cowboys. I mean, they like the breakdown for the most part. I have to agree with Edgar. He put the Eagles are taking that division. Listen, I myself have always said Jalen Hurts is not an NFL quarterback. That division is so damn bad, but the Eagles at least have that toughness to them. They have the weapons. They tried. They went out and they got A.J. Brown. They drafted Devontae Smith last year.
They just got that guy from the Saints to sharpen up their secondary
as well. Yeah, they're
Gardner
trying.
Johnson.
So give me the Eagles to win that division, and I also appreciated, how honest you all were about the Cowboys. Although, for tonight's game, I do think the Cowboys have a pretty good shot.
We're winning tonight, baby.
Yes, Godwin got rolled in for the Bucks, but we know how tough y'all played them last year. The Bucks O-line is hurting. I expect y'all to put a stop to Leonard Fournette, and we'll see what happens on the outside with Diggs and Evans matched up against each other. But I do think the Cowboys have a shot to win tonight. I'm gonna give them that puncher's chance tonight, boys.
I like that.
Maybe a good teaser piece if you want to tease them up above the 7th spot. Above 10 maybe if you could do a 10-point teaser. Anything else you guys want to cover today? I know we talked about the Cowboys, the night game. We got the Monday night game with Russell Wilson and the Broncos going up against the Seahawks. That sounds weird even saying. That's why it took me a little while to say it. I was going to say the Seahawks, but the Broncos are in a parlay of mine. I had the Broncos parlayed with the Ravens. So that further goes to the point that if the Ravens lose, I might not be here next week. So we'll see.
We need the Ravens bad, but no, man, that's it. It was a hell of a show. Way to come back strong. 2022 is gonna go off for us, bro. So best of luck to everybody today on their bets and on their fantasy leagues. Hopefully everybody gets to win. Everybody has some fun and enjoys whatever. If you're gonna barbecue or like Ben is over there throwing another pachanga with the boys. Shout out to all the boys over there watching.
About to go down.
Appreciate all the love. Thank you for everything. And go Cowboys, dog.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Yep. Bye, Justin.
All right, man. And again, guys, Fantasy Mailbag will be opening up this week. Hit us up on all our socials. You have any questions for week 2, we'll be looking into it.
Fantasy Mailbag for sure.
Yeah, hit us up on Facebook and shit, dog.
And